The circumstances of my death. Beloved, I want to start by explaining the mystery of death. There is natural death and premature death, that is untimely death. We are talking about natural death when a human being dies after having exhausted the number of years set for him by God. The Lord was fixed a number of years for every man on earth. However, premature death are perpetrated by Satanists. Many are men and women who have their lives interrupted prematurely without reaching the number of years allocated for them by the Lord. Indeed, Lucifer is always looking for human spirit in order to use them like demons. In fact, many evil spirits who are at war with Christians and mankind are human spirits. I mean human beings who died before their time. They cannot go to the abode of the dead. They become wandering spirit. They are integrated into the evil army of Lucifer. They are officially dead, but they are still operational on the surface of the land. We are at war with the world of spirits, demonic and human spirits. Satanists constantly offer human sacrifice to the devil. The souls of the victims are taken to the kingdom of the devil at the service of Lucifer, until that they reach the number of years set by God for them. This is exactly what happened to me. I died prematurely as a victim of human sacrifice. It is when my relative gave me money that I fell sick, and I died, for he bought my soul with his money. He offered me as a sacrifice in order to prosper his business. On the day of the burial, when all the people had left the cemetery, my soul was in the coffin. It was dark and hot. When it was late in the night, I heard a craze of people on the surface. These people introduced a stick that penetrated the ground, reaching my coffin. I heard someone who called my name for 3 times, and something happened. My corpse was raised out of the coffin in a mysterious way. These wizards returned my spirit in my body and I recovered my conscience. I came back to life and I was free from this mystical disease that killed me. Quickly I saw a number of people dressed in black short. They were in a line. These souls were under the control of wizards who were their executioners. Among these executioners I noticed the presence of my cousin, that have killed me. When I saw my cousin among these wizards, I tried to ask him about what is happening, for the whole thing was unreal, like a film. Instead of sympathy from my cousin, I was tormented seriously and I was instructed to keep silent. Brother, you should never die in the hands of the wizard. Victims of witchcraft are tortured in an intense and excruciating way. In fact, you will spend the rest of the years of your life in torture because you will be a slave. My cousin was cold towards me, as if he never knew me. When witches are in operational mode at night, they are deprived of empathy and compassion. After going through torment, I was instructed to join the people dressed in black. As soon as I joined those souls that were killed in witchcraft, instantly we changed location. As soon as we left the cemetery, we landed in the astral world of witches, in the headquarters of slaves transaction. Victim of witchcraft are slave in the world of witches. In this astral world my memory was lobotomized. I found in this wizard world a crowd of souls that had died as a result of witchcraft. These victims were slaves. They were deprived of their identity. This place was truly a slave market, where wizards and Satanists sold and bought souls of men and women. All these slaves were dressed in black short and they had bare chest. Souls of men were identified not by their names but by the specific number on their short, for they lost their identity. These slaves were gathered in groups in relation to the physical strength. They were ready to be sold for hard labor. I noticed that when I had put on this black short, something happens to me. My humanity was captured. I lost consciousness of the world of men. My memory was like lobotomized. I no longer knew who I was and where I come from. Few days later we were still there in the slaves market, when an order for 4 slaves was placed by a businessman on the earth, that wanted slave to work for him. 4 slaves were to go to work on the earth. I was among the 4 slaves that were sold to the businessman in order to work for him, and we were carried to the world of men. When we arrived on earth, I was amazed to see that we were in the eastern town, where there are many commercial activities. My father often took me to this city for the purchase of many articles. I was hundreds of kilometers from my city that is in the west of the country. Chapter 3: My life as a revenant. Once we arrived on the human world, each one of us was assigned to a store he had to manage. I found workers in my store. They did not know that I was a revenant. I was dead and officially buried. However, I continue life on the land far away from my city. I was to receive goods from the world of Satan for sale, and return the money every Saturday. While I sold in this store I was still bare-chested and in black short, but workers and customers did not perceive me that way. Their natural and optics eyes only picked up the false appearance that I had adopted, and they saw me as a normal man well dressed. In reality I was still in my short and bare chest. Only those who were advanced in occultism that could identify me as a ghost and see my true nature. Every day after the sale, we were going to spend the night in nightclubs, bars and hotels, for we had no residency. We were revenant. When we went to bar and hotels we slept with women. Sometimes I took women home. In reality we had no home, we slept in the cemetery, but the perception and optical view of these women were manipulated as they perceived the grave and the tombstones as houses. Often when these women woke up in the morning they realized that they slept in the cemetery above tombstones. Their lives were destroyed. Then I went on to become a fiancé of a girl. Since I could assume various identities, I was indeed a demon. I remember having financed a girl who got attached to me because of the money. She thought she was dealing with a businessman. She could not know that I was officially dead and buried, but this girl ends up disappearing from the face of the earth and she was taken up to the world of Satan. I deeply regret her disappearance and I am sorry for her family that will not see her again, not even his corpse. When I was still a revenant far from my family, one day I saw my father, but he couldn't see me because I was invisible in this boat where he was traveling, but I was just at his side because I wanted to see him, and I was happy. I was able to be invisible and disappear, for I operated as an invisible spirit. I would like to point out that anyone that has been subjected to rituals, customs and traditions has the door of his life wide opened, and these doors caught our attention, for we were attacking only those who have opened doors of their lives. I was truly a demonic spirit. I could come to your house and steal your money even if you hid it. Every time I gave someone money I captured his chances, his wealth and his star. In life you must not accept the money from the person you don't know. He can buy your life with that money. So I lived 6 months on the surface of the earth. You should know that God has assigned to each human being a specific number of years to live on the land. But wizards and Satanists who travel to the pandemonium worlds know precisely the year in which they are supposed to die. I mean the satanic world know approximately the number of years that God gave to every human being to live on the earth, and since I lived in the world of Satan for 3 years, I know how many years am I supposed to live on earth. In the conflict and war that opposes the kingdom of light to that of darkness, the devil needs human spirit to enroll them in his army, thus he kills people prematurely and enroll them in his army. Given that these victims have died prematurely, they can't go to the abode of the dead until they will reach the numbers of years predetermined by God for them. My death was not natural because my life was cut short and interrupted by the sons of Satan. Many are dying prematurely and they are taken into the world of Satan where they are slaves doing hard labor. Others are displaced geographically far from their region and countries where they work as slaves in the fields, until they reach the numbers of the years of their life. Thus I was dead and officially buried, but I was working as a servant, hundreds of kilometers from my region. We have to understand that there is a slavery industry in the astral world of wizards. Men and women are killed on earth and are sold like slaves. In fact, there are markets and transactions, places for sale of souls of men in the world of witches and wizards, where witch doctors and Satanists sell and buy souls, victims of human sacrifice. I saw a crowd of people sold and bought in these slave markets. These people are officially dead on earth, but they have become revenant. I remember when I was selling in this store, one day my former teacher came to buy stuff in my store. He couldn't recognize me because I had assumed another appearance and identity. I could recognize him. While he was shopping, I asked my workers to give him some household appliances as a gift. He was astonished and suspicious. He could not accept and understand all this. He tells me, "Sir, I don't know you, but how can you give me all these items for free?" Finally I decided to reveal my identity to him, and when he saw my face he was terrified and screamed my name. He said, "Matthew, you are already dead." He was so terrified that he ran away. He even abandoned the stuff he came to buy. Afterwards he went to inform my family about what he saw. There was confusion in the family. Revenant assume appearances and identity depending on the place where they are deployed. If they are sent to work in the field in Europe, they will assume the appearance of white people and they will be seen as white by optical eye. My clients could not imagine that I was an undead from the unseen world. Many are corporations and companies that belongs to the kingdom of darkness. The bosses and leaders are not necessarily ordinary men. One day while I worked in this store, I saw a phone and a particular number. It was actually my cousin's store number, the one who have killed me in sacrifice. When I called this number, he was absent, but I talked to his little sister who was present. I said, "Julia, I'm your brother Matthew." She replied, "No, you are not, for Matthew is already dead." But gradually, as I insisted, she fell into a coma due to panic, and she was transported to the hospital. And when she came out of the coma, she told the family what had happened. People did not know what to make of this. Already my teacher told them the same story. Few months ago I called the same number again. Julian received me on the phone. She was overwhelmed by events. I told her, "Julia, go home and tell my parents to send me clothes because I'm here bare chest and half naked." Julia was so terrified that she cut off the phone. When my cousin heard about this, the world of witches delegated someone who took my phone and warned me not to use the phone again. Not all humans in the street are ordinary men. I was already functioning as a human spirit in the service of the kingdom of Lucifer. Chapter 3: The Mystery of the Underwater World. One day when I was going about my business as usual, I received the visit of a princess of the world of Lucifer, called Madame Magdalene, also called Princess Jacqueline. She had come to the surface of the earth to inspect industries and companies around the world that belong to the kingdom of darkness in the area. She inspected my store in few seconds because she is a marine spirit that works in the speed of light. She offered to employ me as one of her servant, and she recommended me to join her in the world that is under the sea where she lives. She told me, "Your work here on the earth is over. From now on you gonna work as my guard." The next day this princess came with a person who was to replace me. When the day I had to join the princess in the underwater kingdom came, we were in our group of 4, we were all serving spirits. We went to the bank of the Congo River. The princess had explained to us the ritual to do in order to open the interdimensional portal leading to the realm of the spirit underwater. The princess handed us a New Testament, a scent, a black candle. She gave us a Bible verse that we were supposed to recite during the ritual. She instructed us to put perfume on our eyes. We were around the bank of the river when we did ritual and magic prayer. As a result, the river opened like the Red Sea in front of the children of Israel. We then saw a golden and crystalline boulevard emerged in the middle of the river, and this boulevard reached the bank of the river. The shining boulevard went straight into the universe that is underwater. As soon as we stepped on the boulevard, we saw a magical and mysterious world in front of us, that we have never seen since we were born on Earth. It was an urban and sophisticated civilization, another universe. To tell the truth, there is no city on Earth that can equal this civilization underwater. We saw huge advanced construction and architecture. The level of technology and sophistication of this prehistoric world is far ahead of human civilization. When we arrived in this metropolitan world, we saw the Princess Magdalene, who was waiting for us, received us with enthusiasm, and then she took us to her palace. Once we arrived at her place, she introduced us to her staff and workers. When we started new life in this mysterious world of Lucifer, I started to see the elites who rule the world. I saw the royal families, the aristocrats, the upper class, and the people we see in television. I was shocked to see all the famous people we watch on television. I saw them all in the submarine's kingdom of Lucifer, where they regularly attend Lucifer meetings. This was a kingdom ruled by the world government of Lucifer. 2 Congolese are in this government, one is a pastor and another is musician. In this government of Satan there is those who sit on the left hand of Lucifer and those who sit in his right hand. In truth, Satan's secretaries are fallen angels, not humans. He was betrayed and exposed by many former Satanists who came in Christ, so he no longer has confidence in men. And the Princess of Love that invited us in this world was a member of the government of Satan. It was thanks to her that we were able to see Lucifer. Access to the throne of Lucifer is not given to everyone. He is God in the marine world. The strategic goal of the satanic world is the destruction of men, hence the need for Parliament. Who's behind the strategy of destruction of humanity? I would like to remind you that I went to live in the world of Lucifer with my physical body and not with my soul. In this magical world houses are built with spoken word. They speak specific feature and structure of the house. In the world underwater there is a government and a parliament debating and determining how to destroy humanity. Since we started a new life in this unknown world, the Princess of Love settled us in respective houses. She came to get us whenever she needed us. Afterwards she instructed us to get married ladies before serving her. She offered us women that were divas of the sea, and we got married in great celebration. I had 4 children with my new wife in this unknown world that I have left behind in the kingdom of waters. Children from marriage between men and ladies of the sea are humanoid hybrid demon. They are not always immortal. They are often sent on the surface of the earth with specific missions, where they look so much like ordinary men, it is difficult to detect them. They manage corporations and large companies. The Bible says that what happens in the time of Noah will happen in the same way in the advent of the Son of Man, when men had started to multiply on the face of the earth. The underwater world is filled with hybrids, demon from the union of man with ladies of the sea. There are different kingdoms. There are cities and metropolitan agglomerations with dense populations under the sea, the rivers and the oceans. There are people living a life which is not too different from our life. These cities and towns are underwater, are physical civilizations with infrastructures. For people who live there, go to work, they get married and gives birth to children. They have boulevards and cars. They have bars and restaurants. Chapter 4: Scientific and Mysterious Knowledge. Immediately after our wedding, the Princess of Love ordered that we undergo training in different disciplines, in preparation of our deployment on the surface of the earth in different mission. Our training was in scientific and magical knowledge. In terms of scientific training, I learned to drive a car, although I have never owned a car during my life on Earth. Cars in the submarine world are more advanced than in the world of men. Scholars from the world that travel to the submarine world tried to copy this technology, for underwater cars are equipped with computers that offered options. I mean, when you press the kitchen button, the interior of the car is transformed in the kitchen. When you press the bathroom button, the interior of the car turns into bathroom. We must understand that the great scientists of the world are Satanists, that travel to the world of Satan for transfer of technology which they are supposed to bring to the surface of the earth. The mysterious world of the devil has several metropolis. It's a computerized world. The rapid technological advancement that we recorded on Earth in the last centuries is thanks to the world of Satan. Thus we were put in different training programs in order to be prepared for the different mission we were to conduct on the Earth. After training related to scientific knowledge, we were trained in esoteric knowledge. In terms of scientific knowledge, I learned to drive a car, a train, a boat, a bicycle, and I did a lot of sports disciplines under the sea, and I also learned music and the use of musical instruments. We were also trained to walk with leaders. We were taught how to speak in public. In terms of esoteric and mystical knowledge, we learned different techniques in order to function like demonic spirits. We learned to cause mystical death to human. We learned all the destruction techniques. We learned the law of nature. We learned to operate like evil spirits in 2 worlds. We learned to disappear and to become invisible. We learned to enter the body of men and women to dwell in them, in order to possess them and influence them like demon. We have finally learned to capture souls of humans. It was made known to us that our targets were Christians. There is a perpetual war between the kingdom of Satan and that of light. We were to cause destruction, even traffic accidents, sickness and evil, although we were human spirits.